Welcome to Spirit, Purpose, and Energy. I'm JJ Flizanes, your host. Thank you for downloading today's show. I always appreciate it every week that you download a show. So thank you so much. It truly does touch my heart. My love language is quality time, so it really does mean a lot to me that you take the time to download the show and, of course, listen to it. Today's show is sponsored by Health IQ. If you're someone between the ages of 20 to 60, you have a family, you don't have a huge nest egg to take care of them in the case of your absence, and you're someone who is health conscious, you may want to check out Health IQ. Health IQ rewards the health conscious with getting them discounts and lower rates on term life insurance. So that way you can, again, protect your family in the case of your absence, which of course is not what we want at all, but you get to pay less because you actually spend more time taking care of yourself. And there's a company like Health IQ that will reward you for doing just that. So check out healthiq.com/SPE, Spirit, Purpose, and Energy. Again, that's healthiq.com/SPE. Another very fun and exciting announcement that I have for you guys is about the next big step, which is the next live event that I'm doing in Los Angeles in September of this year, September 20th through the 23rd. You know, and I'm going to link it to Law of Attraction because everything I do and trust is really about the practice that I've had over the last 15 years using Law of Attraction in and out in terms of how well I'm using it, how well I'm aware of it. Because, you know, somebody said something recently, you're a more powerful manifester than me, they said. And what I wanted to say in response, but this is someone who doesn't listen to the show, isn't in the tribe, and I knew they weren't going to get it, so I didn't bother wasting my time trying to explain this. But we're all manifesting all the time. You're manifesting all the time. What you manifest is going to show you what you're clicked into. So it's not that someone's a great manifester. Someone may be stronger and more effective in manifesting very specific things that they want because they've cleaned that up. They've cleaned that vibration up and there's no resistance, and they truly do believe on a very deep subconscious level what it is that they want, which is why they get it. But the same person, and I think I've mentioned this on a show before, I have a friend that does that. They manifest free education all the time. But on the flip side, there's negative manifestations happening in other areas of life. So it's not that it's like an on and off switch and you're either really good or really bad, or you're doing it well or you're not doing it. You're always manifesting. Every person on the planet is always manifesting. It's what are you manifesting and what are you consciously co-creating, or are you unconsciously attracting? So really that's the conversation. But back to the whole point of the next big step, when I was putting together the event and the ideas of the event earlier this year, part of me said to myself, you know, it would be great to add a piece on money. And for those of you that follow either Fit to Love or Spirit, Purpose, and Energy, or even Women, Men, and Relationships, but you've gone back and forth through different channels that I have and different content that I have, I started off wanting to hit many different levels of what I consider to be a wellness path. And of course, a wellness path consists of healthy living on all levels, mind, body, and soul. And one thing I've never really tackled or offered is the money piece, because that's not an area where I feel I'm an expert at all. And I myself, throughout the years, have had to learn in different ways how to do money, from how to manage it, to how to invest it, to how to attract it, to how to create it, to how to all those things. And I'm still on the same trajectory as some of you are in terms of, you know, how well and how clear and all that kind of good stuff. So I've never offered money, but I recognize that it's part of the wellness system because it's just energy. And I can tell you how to attract it. I do that very well. I have attracted an investor in the exact way that I wanted, and I've attracted all kinds of fun money things, but I felt like we needed to make it more of a section. And so back when I thought about doing money, I thought, who would I have come on to do money? And quite honestly, there's so many people out there that are doing it. But, if you're a fan of mine and you understand how I operate, it's really that I want someone embodying all of it. They need to embody the mind, body, soul principle of where they are living and understanding both the right and the left brain pieces, and understand the energy and the emotions and the spirituality and the law of attraction about money, quite honestly, because a lot of people that teach money stuff, they don't teach law of attraction. Or the people that teach law of attraction don't teach how, like, the structure or the foundation or budgeting or some of the nuts and bolts about money that a lot of people who just focus on the emotional piece of it miss. Because there's a lot of shame wrapped up in money. And if we don't look at the emotional piece of money and the foundational structure piece of money, then we're missing something and it's incomplete. And so as I was writing an email a week or two ago to mention the next big step, it hit me again that I need to bring in money. And so the good news is we're doing money. And I've got a business coach that I will announce next week who I've known for many years. And she embodies all of it. And she's going to do at least 2 presentations and exercises during the course of the next big step. And one of them will be focused on the emotional piece. And I will also be going over law of attraction when it comes to money as well. But she'll be doing the emotional mindset piece, if you will, the attraction piece, as well as the nuts and the bolts and the foundation and the budgeting and the things that a lot of us spiritual right brain people don't want to look at. But if you're not looking at it, then we're just avoiding some of the shame or some of the negative feelings that we attach to it. And sometimes when you give it structure, it starts to form. I'll tell you that years ago when I opened like a few bank accounts, like I had learned from somebody about separating and managing money in a certain way. So I opened a bank account, I opened several, that would reflect these different areas of money that I was going to save, whether it be long-term financial freedom, or it was going to be short-term spending it on a vacation, or if it was going to be investing, or it was going to be giving it or donating it. Anyway, let's just say I decided that I was going to create all these different pockets to put money in. And would you know that once I set up all these bank accounts, that very same month, I had the best financial month I had had yet, because I created the space from which to fill. So I created it. I said, here it is. It's like that saying, if you build it, they will come. Well, I created it and then it came. But there are many pieces and parts that keep it coming and that keep it from falling and keep it from you from sabotaging yourself. And so while I opened those bank accounts and I had lots of money that month and even that next 6 months, did come a point in which I lost some of it. And I had to close some of those bank accounts. So it's not just the simple act of opening a bank account or saying I'm going to do it. There are many parts and pieces. So the good news is that we're going to address that at the next big step. And so we are at March 13th. We are halfway through the month. And this is the only month where you're going to get the lowest price possible. It is the early bird and it will be gone as of April 1st. And the price will go up by $100. So if you're interested, come to jjflizanes.com/next big step. Again, that's jjflizanes.com/next big step. So today's show is going to be me, and I'm going to talk about some of this law of attraction stuff because I got some good responses from you guys last time when I did the releasing the expectations of others, and it's got my wheels turning and it's got me thinking, and I know you want me to go deeper, and I know you want me to go more, and those of you who love that show listen to it several times, and I appreciate that. Just know that this is a really huge topic. And so I'm going to go and we're going to see where it goes, and know that there's tons more and I can keep doing more. So if you get an idea during this show about a direction you want me to go that I haven't gone yet, please, please, please let me know. There's so many ways I can deliver this content in terms of situationally when it comes to your life, whether it be through relationships and victim mentality and work and money and love and relation, all of it. So anything you want to know that you want me to use law of attraction to explain better, please email me somehow. If you're in one of my groups, tell me in the group. If you want to contact me through another social media platform and give me a private message, that's fine. Just let me know because I'm here to serve you. I love when I hear this feedback from you because it lets me know I'm on the right track, and I want to keep giving you the things that you need and that you want. So I do need you to communicate that to me. Let's go backwards for a minute and talk about the releasing the expectations of others. There's so much in that, first of all. The first thing I'm going to say is I want you to think about, what does it mean for you when you are focusing on someone else's expectation of you. What does that mean for you? To me, first off, it's a victim mentality. It's a victim mentality, meaning if I don't do or behave in a way that's pleasing to person A, somehow that means something about you. Yes? Like you failed, you're not good enough. It's really all a search for self-worth. Most of the things in our lives are a search for validation of self-worth. But here's the very fun fact I want for you to remember. You're already worthy. You manifested and incarnated in this life worthy, ready to go. Before you even got here, you were worthy. You're always worthy. That's the whole point. So what happens to us when we somehow decide or get a message from an elder or a friend or environment that we're not worthy? The act of feeling or thinking or interpreting that we're not worthy is one of the first things that disempowers you and disconnects you from source energy or God or Jesus or Buddha or Allah or whoever you want to put there, creator, just add in the word that makes sense to you. The minute that you decide, because I could take it through each religion and show you, whether it be God and Jesus in Christian faith, and you think that you're unworthy, the question I would have to you, do you think God or would create a being that's unworthy or have to work towards being worthy? If we're talking about the universe or source energy I've explained in the past, or creator, is like the sun. And we're all an extension of the sun. We're all sunbeams. We're all part of that energy. It's not separate. We're not separate from. We're the same energy. We are source. We are God. We are creator. We're just physically focused. And for the most part, on a regular basis, based on what we think about, what we feel about, what we're doing, we disconnect ourselves more than normal from the well-being that is inherently ours. The connection to source, the connection to God, the connection to creator, the connection to the universe. We disconnect on a regular basis. We are so used to disconnecting that we don't trust connecting. Does that make sense? There is a well-being that exists. So whatever it is you believe, and here's the next level to this. A lot of people will talk about having faith and going to church and even doing law of attraction, and I was one of them. I could tell you, I could answer any question that you asked of me in law of attraction speak, okay? I could answer any question for many, many years, from about 2005 to 2011. So let's say for 6 years, I felt like I really understood the law of attraction, and I did, but I wasn't living it. And I wasn't living it. Well, okay, let's take that back. I was living it to a certain degree. I was living it because at that point I did attract an investor, and that investor was exactly all the things I wanted. And I had no resistance, even though people were trying to talk me into resistance and telling me to do A, B, and C. And I said, nope, that's not what's going to happen. Like, I was super clear on what my role was, what our relationship was, and what the future was going to hold, and that there wasn't anything bad going to happen from it. And I was right. So on one level, I attracted somebody and a relationship that was perfectly on point to what I believed I could and what it was that I wanted. But on the other side, I wanted Fit to Love, the book, to have a leverage and a life of its own, where I didn't have to push or work so hard or promote so hard. And I thought having an investor would help me get there. And it didn't. I wasn't able to communicate, and we did not come to an agreement about how that momentum was going to get created with that book so that I could kind of allow and let the universe tell me that this was the right thing. So I didn't trust that. And that is when I started to see that even though I could verbalize it to you, and this is how I got a lot of you too, releasing what weighs you down. You're all real smart. You listen to me. Pat on my back. No, seriously, you're very smart. You know that there's an intellect to this and there's an energy to this. And you could probably give the best advice to your friends, right? But where the rubber meets the road is, are you living it? And that's where I could look at myself honestly back in 2011 and say, no, if I was living this, I would not feel anxious about making something happen. I would not feel like I have to produce or push or struggle or find a way, because the way would be shown to me, because that's law of attraction. So I had to take a real hard look at that. And when I could actually honestly say, wow, I'm not trusting. And it's not because I don't believe. In my head, I believe. But the act of actually releasing, letting go, and trusting is a different feeling. It's embodied differently. So all of that to say, when you give your power away to somebody else to validate who you are and what you're doing, that means you aren't trusting that you're whole and perfect just the way you are. You don't trust or believe that you have incarnated in this lifetime for a reason, and that something's missing and you're not whole and perfect just the way you are. I'm recording this. It's the day before, so you guys are going to get this on Tuesday, and it is Monday, and yesterday was Sunday, and it was the 50th anniversary of Mr. Rogers. And I don't know if any of you saw the show. We recorded it, but Mr. Rogers, I grew up with Mr. Rogers. Many of you might have as well. And it was on for like 35 years. And one of the things, when it came on last night, I had to laugh because I was singing all the songs. And boy, does that not show you how powerful your subconscious is. I probably stopped watching Mr. Rogers somewhere around 1986, 1987, maybe 1988 or before. But yet, that's a long time. Yet I could sing all the songs. Number one, that just showed me how strong our subconscious mind is to remembering things that happened to us from the time we were born to the time that we're 10. So don't kid yourself. Some of the energies you grew up with are running your life, whether you're aware of it or not. Number two, Mr. Rogers' main message was that you're perfect just the way you are. I mean, it was such a great reminder. I woke up this morning singing Mr. Rogers and realizing that it's a great message for all of us to hear all the time. I mean, the man was just, pure love in that he wanted everyone to know that everyone was good enough just the way they are. What a great message, right? So here's JJ Flizanes telling you today, as Mr. Rogers, you are good enough. You are perfect. You are great. You are whole, just the way you are. If you believe that, you will feel differently than if you don't believe that. Now, getting to believing that's a different story, and some of us have been led to believe that we have to get that feedback from others. I know I've done it too. You guys help. You guys help when I know that I'm doing the right thing for you and I hear from you. It feels nice, but it's conditional. And I had to start out knowing I had enough to offer, and I felt strongly enough about my message and about my intentions to keep going even when I didn't have all of you. I had to put content out trusting, and I'd listen to my show and think it's good. I mean, I think I'm an honest critic of my own stuff. If I listen to it and I don't like it, I don't put it out. But if I listen to it and I got inspired, then I'm like, okay, then this is good for others too. So I just kept trusting, and it's taken twists and turns, and it looks very different than it originally was going to look because I've just been trusting the process. So back to the releasing the expectations of others, the first thing I'm going to suggest for a lot of you is to find a way every day to remind yourself that you're perfect just the way you are. And to think about the word unconditional. How many of us really practice unconditional love? I was listening to an Abraham track this week, ever since last week when I thought, okay, I'm going to do another solo show. Let me get inspired. So let me listen to a track. And I keep the same CDs in the car like for months and months and months and months. And I don't listen to them all the time, but I'll listen to them over and over again until I feel like changing the CD. And then I'll take the next CD and I'll listen to it over and over and over and over and over again because I hear different things when I need to hear different things. And one of the things that I heard was about unconditional love. And I was like, yeah, unconditional love. How many of us really understand or have practiced unconditional love? Unconditional love means you love unconditionally. That means things don't have to change in order for you to feel love. Think about that. Anything you want, here's another great quote from Abraham. Anything you want, and it's a great reminder for myself too, by the way. Anything that you want is because you think you'll feel better in the having of it. Anything, everything, money, a relationship. You want it only because you think you'll feel better when you have it. But the fact remains, you can feel good about it without having it. In fact, law of attraction says you have to feel good about it before you can even get it. So you feel good about it, you don't even need it because you can feel good first before getting it. That's the basis of law of attraction. So think about unconditional love. When you are looking for your worth in other people's opinions of you, you automatically disconnect yourself from source and from God. And then you make that person replace all that is and give ultimate power to what frequency they're on. Okay, now let's talk about frequency for a second. Because a lot of times we want to hear from other people. We want to be validated by certain people, our parents, our friends, our spouses, our children. But law of attraction is like the radio, right? There's frequencies. Frequency is a number that we can track on a dial or with some kind of tracking device. And if we're on different frequencies, it means they can't see you, hear you, or get you if they're on a different frequency. Take that in for a second. Let's use numbers. Let's say you're on frequency number 90 and they're on frequency number 50. It's like talking to the wall. They're not going to get you. So don't try. Does that make sense? We spend a lot of time trying to convince people on lower frequencies to see and hear what we see and hear, but they can't because they're not on that frequency, right? So when we're trying to get others to validate us, one of two things happen. You drop down to their frequency, which probably feels really crappy because maybe normally you'd be on a higher frequency. But because you are trying to get them to validate you, in order for you to align with them, you have to go to where they are. And they're probably, especially if you're listening to my show, lower than you, most likely. Okay? Lower in a frequency. Maybe they're more stuck in fear or some kind of negative emotion like revenge, anger, discouragement, blame, worry, doubt, disappointment, overwhelmed, frustration, fear. If there's someone whose subconscious is mainly made up of a lot of fear and jealousy and hatred and revenge and anger, the likelihood that they're going to be able to meet you in optimism for too long or passion or love or unconditional love will be fleeting. So what do? Well, you do all that you can do, which is to work on you, be at the frequency that feels the best for you that you can maintain, and let law of attraction put you in alignment with others in the same frequency, in the same alignment. So for those of you that listen to the show regularly, you know that my birthday was last week, and I had I'd gotten the show ready before the birthday because I knew I wasn't going to be able to do birthday plus put a show out, right? So I didn't get to tell you about what I did on my birthday. And one of the things that I did was my husband and I went to San Francisco for one night, Saturday. We stayed the night Saturday night, and we came home Sunday in the late afternoon evening. And I've got a couple cousins in the San Francisco area. I've got two first cousins, and I wanted to meet up with them for a meal. So we arranged that, and it was going to be for like a late brunch. Now, these cousins of mine I saw back in September at a family reunion, and they introduced me to this board game that was super fun. We stayed up all night long, drank too much, and laughed. And of course, we were all in California time, and we were in Maryland, so we were on East Coast time, so it made us look like we stayed up super late, but our bodies were just naturally used to staying up later because of the time change. So we're up and we're playing this game, and it was really, really fun, and I came home and I bought the game. And I haven't played the game since. It's been September. Okay, we're now in March. And there's been a few times where I've had some people over for dinner and I'm like, oh, we're going to play the game. And then one person was like, oh, I don't play games. And then another time it went from 4 down to 3. So there weren't enough people to play the game. Now, mind you, it's unopened and it's sitting in the living room. And I know I'm going to meet with my cousins. And in my mind, I'm thinking, boy, wouldn't it be super fun to play that game? Because I'd get to introduce it to Brian, there'd be enough people, and it was really fun. I told no one. I didn't tell my husband. I didn't tell my friends. I told no one. And we get to the restaurant and my cousin said ordered some champagne, and then we're having our meal. And then I don't know how it came up, but I mentioned the game and that I purchased it when I got home and how I haven't been able to play it because I haven't had enough people around to play it. And my cousin says, I brought it with me. Do you want to play it now? And I was so excited, more so about the manifestation than about playing the game, because I really, really wanted to, and I told no one. So it's not like I told my husband and he secretly asked my cousin, or it's not like I dropped the hint in an email or anything like that. It just happened. We played 2 rounds of it. It was so much fun. And also I did not know my cousin carries it with him wherever he goes. So, I mean, had I known that, I probably could have guaranteed that we would play it because he'd have it on him, but I had no idea. I said to him, I manifested this, and he didn't really believe in the whole manifestation thing. So he's like, so what you're telling me, he's like, I'm a little skeptical about that. So what you're telling me is because you wanted it, you manipulated me into bringing it. I said, no. Manifestation is that I was on a frequency that tapped into a frequency that you were on as well. He goes, oh, well, I could buy that. So back to this whole idea of frequency, there's really not a lot you're going to do. There's really not a lot of success you're going to find when you're trying to communicate certain things that you can only experience at a certain frequency to people on a lower frequency. It's just not going to work. The goal would be to somehow help them get to the higher frequency, which you can only really do by staying there. You can't come down and drag them up. It doesn't work like that. But you can get to the place where you have an expectation of them with you in wonderful high frequency ways, that once you stay there long enough, you give them the opportunity to come up and meet you, or at least for law of attraction to put you in a place. Or Abraham often calls it rendezvousing, right? You're rendezvousing. You're zigging and zagging would be one, you're missing each other because you're in different frequencies, so you're not connecting. You're not in alignment with each other. But when you rendezvous, when you meet, it means you're on a similar frequency. So allowing yourself to stay high or be wherever you are, and when you focus on a certain person, visualize, imagine, feel about them higher than maybe reality is. Well, actually, most of the time it's going to be feeling them higher than reality is. We don't really want to pay too much attention to what is. We want to focus on what we want. And the point of that is because that's how we create moving forward. Okay? We want to stay in that frequency and allow others to find us, to rendezvous with us, to align with us, to match us, and to meet us when the timing is right. But all we can do is stay true to some of these things that I've talked about on this show so far already, which is that you're already whole and perfect just as you are. And you can't get it wrong, and there's nothing to get right. All we're doing is taking the cue and learning and expanding and reminding ourselves that we are whole and perfect, and that any time we're looking to others to validate us, in order for us to feel better, you give your power away, which just that alone, you'll feel bad. And we're replacing source or God or creator with a person whose frequency is definitely going to be less than creator or universe. And the connection and the validation we're really seeking is ourselves and God or creator or source. That's what meditation is good for. That's what visualization is good for. That's what earthing can be good for. This is why you finding your center, you getting in touch with your source, creator, universe, God, really is the only way to activate unconditional love, to understand and remind yourself of who you really are. And anything outside of that is conditional. And when it's conditional, it is always subject to change. And it is always subject to change based on everyone else around you and where they are. So, I'm looking at the time, and I have a ton of notes, and I haven't even gotten to half of these notes because I want to talk about resistance. I want to talk about momentum. I did talk about frequency, so we got that. So just know that this is such a huge, vast topic. And I didn't really go into law of attraction very much at Releasing What Weighs You Down this year. There wasn't time, but there will be time at the next big step, and I will. And I will be addressing it again next year, next January 10th through 13th at Releasing What Weighs You Down 2019. This topic is ginormous, but it's so important and it's so big, and that's why you're here. So please write to me, be in touch with me. Remember that the next 30-day manifestation challenge is not until May. I will not let anyone new into the Facebook group until about mid-April, and I will let you in with the intention that all of you new people can start to watch all the Facebook Live videos and get caught up in sort of what we do and answer any questions that you may have, because I've already answered them a million times, and I just want you to go back and watch them so that way you can start out and be a little bit closer to where the rest of us are in terms of how it all works. Okay? So chew on this for a little while. Get back to me next week. We're going to be back to an interview segment, and I'm going to be having more announcements, and I'm going to have the person on. I'm going to announce later who's coming on to do money, and she's going to be on the show at least once, if not twice, before September, so you can get a good taste of her. You've already heard her once, but she was interviewing me, and I look forward to getting excited about implementing more structure as well as inspiration and law of attraction when it comes to all parts of you, especially money, but more so in the power of connecting with Source and reminding yourself every day, just like Mr. Rogers, that you are just perfect just the way you are.